Hello, I'm the Professor. While we were recording this episode of Nerds Amalgamated, we discovered that when it rains, my internet gets very spotty, so my audio comes and goes a little bit. If it's too much, skip to 18 minutes. That's where we gave up and tried to finish the recording another day. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Here we go!
Hello, welcome back to Nerds Amalgamated. I'm the Professor, and my co-hosts are Buck and the DJ. How are you going, Buck?
I'm awesome. Thank you for asking.
What about you, DJ?
I'm good. Another fun day. Another Thursday.
What?
We've just given away our recording date. Now the stalkers will find us. So, Buck, you sound slightly more interesting. What is so awesome?
Well, we've been getting lots of rain, and there's some fires that have been getting dampened and put out by the rains. I didn't have to see any politicians and nut jobs today, so that's another bonus. And life is just generally good.
Well, since life is so good, why don't you start us off tonight, Buck?
Okay, I will certainly do that, Professor. My topic this week is about the research into a protein called Sestrin. So, as everyone knows, exercise is always good for the body, the brain, etc. But one of those golden dreams of companies around the world is how can you harness the benefits of a great workout while actually doing nothing? And it turns out Michigan medicine researchers might have actually done it by looking at this naturally occurring protein called Sestrin that mimics many of the effects of exercise. But unfortunately, it's only in flies and mollusks at the present time, but there's something. The results of this is it can assist with combating muscle wastage and fatigue due to issues such as aging and other causes, but also assisting with maintaining and retaining muscle for astronauts in space travel. So, researchers have observed that Sestrin accumulates in muscle following exercises, according to Myungjin Kim, PhD, a research assistant professor in the Department of Molecular and Integrative Physiology. So, their first step was to encourage flies to actually join a gym and do a workout. So they had a particular fly called the Drosophila, which has its normal instinct is to climb up and out of a test tube.
Drosophila is just regular fruit flies.
So what they did is they built a treadmill on a test tube and put the flies in and had them working out and doing exercises. And they found regular flies can usually run around for up to 6 hours, and normal flies' abilities improved over the period of doing the workout, but the flies that didn't have the Sestrin did not improve with exercise. So if you haven't got Sestrin, you don't actually get the results from the workout, apparently.
Thanks, now I've got a new excuse for being fat.
Roger, I had a special one for you in the pre-show discussion. So
yes.
we've now got the excuse of we're lacking in Sestrin. What's more, though, is when overexpressed, Sestrin in the muscles of normal flies, essentially maxing out the Sestrin levels, they found those flies had abilities above and beyond those trained flies who had been running away on the treadmill, even though they didn't do any exercise. So, yeah.
Now I wonder what the combination would do. Flies with the ridiculously high overexpressed Sestrin.
Well, apparently they didn't develop any further endurance when they did exercise.
Okay.
So, by maxing out your Sestrin level, you get your peak performance of your muscles and so forth without actually doing any exercise, and exercise becomes null and void. Then we just got to work out a way of getting rid of the fat. We'll be healthy enough to move around. We just need to get rid of the fat.
It says that it improves fat burning, so...
Well, yeah, muscle mass does that. So, but the thing that I'm liking here is it prevents atrophy in muscle that's immobilized. So when I was talking before about for space travel, one of the things they look at for long-term flights for space travel is the extended sleep period, where you're in a state of suspended animation. If anyone's done any research into coma patients, one of the biggest concerns that they have there is the atrophy of muscle. So even though they do exercises to move the arms and legs and body motions around as much as they can with coma patients, you still get atrophy of the muscle from lack of proper use. So this could be a way of helping to reduce that, and also for being stuck sitting in a spaceship for months at end. So yes, unfortunately, Sestrin supplements are not on the horizon at the moment. So
That's okay. They can wait a few years.
They're not small molecules, but they are working to find small molecule modulators of Sestrin.
Well, there are other variations of exercise in a pill type of things, like, for example, thermogenics.
Yeah, that just makes you sweat more. That's not a healthy way of improving muscle performance. That just means that when you so thermogenics is when supplement you take so that when you do work out, you increase your body core temperature a lot more and you burn a lot more fat. So you burn off a lot more calories and so forth due to the due to the elevated core body temperature, you burn more body fat. So yeah, that's a different process altogether.
As a risk of taking too much of that stuff and basically cooking yourself, which doesn't seem like it would be possible with Sestrin.
Yeah, with the thermogenic ones, most of them, if you're getting from regulated sources, if you take too much, it doesn't actually make your core temperature rise above a certain level. So if you have too much of it, just makes you poop funny. Which, let's face it, another way of losing weight. But the whole thing with the Sestrin is looking like it's got a lot more use. Not necessarily for helping people like the professor and myself to lose weight and get healthy, although it'd be nice, but more for improving longevity and so forth for our aging population, and also for situations such as coma patients and space travel, which is where we all want to be.
Can you imagine in the future with blood tests, and the doctor will say, okay, your Sestrin levels are pretty high. You have the potential to lose weight. You just need to you just need to exercise now because you have a very high Sestrin levels.
Well, that's what you don't need to exercise when you're on Sestrin. The flies that had Sestrin didn't see any additional benefit, at least in terms of endurance. It's possible Sestrin would be a no exercise weight loss aid, which you hear about every but maybe this is the one.
Yeah, like this is showing some real promise in the results. So if they can get the molecular modulators up to a certain level, it'd be awesome. I was actually just thinking, like, with things such as Parkinson's, I've seen where they use cannabis oil to help calm the brain. And it's got a thing with the muscular aspect. So I'm wondering whether this might actually help with that as well.
Yeah. The other one, what about stem cells as well? You reckon
stem cells are an entirely different thing?
Sure, but then they also do help out in fixing muscles as well, don't they? Like in case of muscles to atrophied.
Stem cells are for growing. So with the atrophy, it's lack of movement and use of it. And just putting stem cells in there isn't going to make it regrow. So it might have some effect on there. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm very iffy on stem cells because of how they harvest stem cells. It can be very, very unethical because you do realize how they harvest a lot of some stem cells, don't you?
Yeah, but it's a very big topic, a separate big topic in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at the moment, everything on I can see on the Sestrin is looking really, really good. So
Can you imagine gym companies all now saying like, introducing this awesome new protein powder with Sestrin, the one protein that could help you exercise more.
But it doesn't help you exercise more.
Oh no, but marketing can spin it to make it sound like an appealing product.
Yeah, well, instead of doing it that way, wouldn't it be Sestrin, the supplement you take so you can sit on your backside longer and not have to exercise?
Yeah, that could work. That might be true, yeah.
Well, I think that I reckon my approach is going to sell more products because it'll get all the gaming nerds to come and join us.
Can you imagine? Imagine all those League of Legends players and the World of Warcraft players going like, "Hold up, give me 5 minutes. I gotta get my Sestrin shot." Pew! All right, I'm good.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Sestrin becomes the next steroid.
Well, even steroids are becoming second rate. Like, that's a whole different topic to look at there. But yeah, no, the professors ran away.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. There's the whole steroids thing.
So, well, while the professor's away, we shall move along. What have you got for us this week, DJ?
Oh, I've got a very interesting story that's come out this week.
Is it really interesting?
Well, let's see now. Violet Evergarden has been a good series.
I love the fact that I just stumped you there by asking you a question.
Hey, I'm just saying that well, I could be talking about the Oscars and how interesting that was. Notice the grumble in Buck's voice. He knows he hates awards shows.
I don't hate awards shows. I'm just sick and tired of Hollywood stroking themselves.
Yeah, that's true as well. But
there's so many things I could say, and I'd probably get in trouble for all of them.
Imagine if we put this on YouTube, like demonetized.
I reckon we could probably put a Patreon beside it, and it would rake in lots of money. We could just have one video, Buck rants about the Oscars.
Anyway, so Kyoto Anime's Violet Evergarden, that's been a very big series. Everyone loves it. So word has been coming out that there will be 2 film projects, and when that news came out, people lost their minds. They were all overjoyed. They were pretty cool, happy about it. Like, yes, finally a Violet Evergarden movie. I want this. And then all of a sudden, the tragic Kyoto Anime fire happened, and one of the film projects was delayed to release in April. But
that's not too bad. Like, we can survive with that.
Yeah, but recent news has came out that one of the films is continuing on its release. It came out in last September in Japan, and it's gonna have a US release thanks to Funimation. Which announced on Saturday that it will screen Violet Evergarden 1, Eternity, and the Auto Memory Doll. So they're thinking about. They haven't announced a concrete release date, but it's early 2020. So that's the release date so far, and it will come in original Japanese with English subtitles. So no dub.
Okay, I can go with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, although this one's not part of the main story, it's a side story though, which is
that's all cool.
Yeah. So the story. So from what I've gathered, they're saying that the story is based around Violet Evergarden meeting a noble woman who feels trapped within society's rules, and the character is a young woman from a noble household of York who's currently feeling cold about her future. So.
I see Minori Shihara, is performing the theme song.
Yes.
Amy. That's going to be something to look out for.
Yeah, she's a really good singer. I loved her works. Like the Violet Evergarden songs they're beautiful to listen to.
Yes, I actually loaded up the original soundtrack while I was working on an assignment, and it was actually quite relaxing.
Did you cry in the middle of the soundtrack as well?
No,
I know. I felt a bit teary eyed when I heard the soundtrack as well, though.
I didn't feel teary eyed. It was just one of those nice, pleasant songs to have in the background.
Yeah,
Like all the different bits and pieces of music. So I'll actually give you a link to Amy's song in the show notes.
nice.
But yeah, no, it's one of the things that I enjoy with a lot of these anime movies is with the soundtrack you get some really good music that's just pleasant to listen to, gently in the background when you're doing other things.
Yeah.
You can also use it to hype yourself up with some of them though, because it's especially like with what's it, Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of the
that's
others
true.
they're just the total opposite way of going. So
Yeah. Funimation also did a brief summary of the anime. And it's basically Violet Evergarden comes to a private woman's college to tutor Isabella in the ways of being a lady. Heir to the York family, Isabella feels trapped in this new and uncomfortable world. She still grieves for the only person to ever bring her happiness, now lost to her. Violet's lesson do give her a brief respite from the melancholy, but with the absence of joy, how long does it take to truly heal? Which is it's a pretty nice plot.
yeah. One of the big things with Violet Evergarden is just the insanely detailed artwork.
Oh yeah.
It's like you get some anime where it's not the most detailed artwork, but then you get some of them such as this that are just insanely well drawn. So
yeah. So with this release of the spin-off, there are hopes that the future film Violet Evergarden, the movie, might bring in some interest as well. So
I hope it does. Like I want Kyoto to truly come back strong, because this is one of those projects that's really good.
This may sound a bit controversial, but do you reckon this rivals Miyazaki's works?
No, because it's more of a compliment to Miyazaki, because it's great work on its own, but it's not the same style. Like, it's just Miyazaki's Miyazaki. This is a different style of story, and the artwork is different as well. So it's like trying to compare an orange and a mandarin. Both great, but they're not the same.
Makes sense. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Professor?
I think the professor's lost for words in your.
Help.
He's dropped into the bottom of the bucket.
Quick,
Which
Professor.
is actually quite fitting considering what his topic is. Are you there, Professor? Hello. I get little bits of Professor. Are you able to hear Professor DJ?
Sorta. I think he's slowly done.
All right, we had to take a minor break there because it turns out when it rains, my internet gets flooded and stops working completely. And I'm looking at the weather radar now, and the rain is coming in again, so...
Oh, when it rains, it pours.
It does. We're very glad for this rain, though.
Yep.
Especially the farmers and the firefighters out west at the moment.
Although it is still... There's still a lot of fires down in Victoria, so...
Yeah.
Our thoughts are still with you guys down there.
Yep. But anyway, continuing on with where we had to leave off last time, we have some new Star Citizen news, which I know Buck is going to be very pleased about. Crytek has sued Cloud Imperium, as of a couple of years ago, for releasing 2 games on a license that only allowed them to release 1 game using the CryEngine license. But Crytek have now put out a motion to dismiss without prejudice because it's taken Cloud Imperium so long to release either game. So at the moment, there's only the alpha of Star Citizen out, that they don't think they have a case at the moment. So as soon as Squadron 42 comes out, Crytek will be right back on this.
By the time Squadron 42 comes out, Crytek will never exist. It would just be, we got bought out by Disney.
Well, that's a good question because Crytek have been struggling for money for a couple of years now.
Now, will they be bought out by Disney or Nintendo? Or will Nintendo become a subsidiary of Disney by the time we actually see anything from these guys at all?
We'll bow down before the mouse.
Will we be living on Mars?
Will there
The
be
mouse will own Mars.
Will there be a real life Squadron 42 when we get a computer game version of Squadron 42?
Well, there's still Euro Truck Simulator, so there's still going to be demand for a computer version of Squadron 42, even if you can go and hop in your spaceship and go and fight rebels right now.
Yeah, it'd be like one of the like in those the science fiction movies where I'm going to play some classical music. They turn around, they push play, and out comes Bon Jovi or Metallica.
Yeah, yes. Although, can you still count them as retro games if they haven't been released yet?
Can we actually count them as games? Retro or
Squadron
otherwise?
42, no. Star Citizen has an alpha, which is close to the bare minimum.
See, the game there is kind of like a casino. It's a gamble on, is something going to happen?
Yes.
And at the moment, the race is between Keith Richards being named the God Emperor of the Cockroaches after the fall of mankind, and Star Citizen actually eventuating in some marketable form. Odds on favourite is Keith Richards, by the way.
Hey, Star Citizen has been in marketable form since the Kickstarter. That's how marketing works.
Yeah, no. That's a vision and a dream of, can we make something happen? We have an idea. Give us your money.
But if your Kickstarter has shitty marketing, you're not going to meet your goal. Unless you're that guy who wanted to make potato salad.
I don't know. There have been some really shitty Kickstarters not Kickstarters, Indiegogo campaigns that ended up collected a lot of money. Case in point, Nostalgia Critic and his funding attempt, which turned out to be absolutely horrible in the end.
I can't remember that one, so I'm going to say that's your opinion. It may well be true, but I don't remember it, so.
Fair enough.
Anyway, back to the main topic at hand. Star Citizen has raised about $300 million in total, and their finance reports say that they've spent about $250 million of that. But the interesting part about this lawsuit is that Star Citizen reckon that they've changed engines to Lumberyard, which is an Amazon fork of CryEngine. A few years back, Amazon bought a license to fork CryEngine and developed a version that integrates with AWS and the other Amazon products. But as part of this court case, CIG have basically had to say, no, we haven't made the switch. So I have no idea what's going on inside CIG at the moment.
I don't know. It's.
I mean, we know that they're working on a 20 vs 20 combined arms mode, which has a pretty cool trailer. But you can see in the trailer, it's in-game footage, and you can see the optimization issues. Also, some weird editing of the live stream of the event when they announced that, because it just randomly cuts back to the host's face a couple of times, and the host is just standing there looking dead bored because he has nothing to do.
Yeah, I just can't see this. Even with the gameplay, it just doesn't look feasible to be to get the engine change. If you know what I mean? Well,
I don't think you know what you're talking about, because it's the same engine just with AWS features. So it's a pretty simple changeover. It's not like changing from Unity to Unreal.
Yeah, but honestly, there's so many they're so not far along that it wouldn't matter even if they had to change.
So Professor, you're talking about the Alpha 3.7 trailer that came out a couple of months back, right?
No, I'm talking about the Theatres of War trailer, which is in the show notes there.
Okay, yep, fair enough. Yep.
So have they still got, what was that? They had one of the ship packs you could buy that was officially it was $27,000 or something from memory.
Yeah, for that's the complete pack, all the content that they've released.
$27,000 for all the content that they've released, and it's still only an alpha stage game.
Yeah.
So when they actually release a game, given these prices, it's going to be like $1 million to buy it.
Well, if you buy the complete pack with all the ships, the idea is that if you buy the starter pack for $40 or thereabouts.
No. If they're selling the ship, if they're selling the entire thing at $27,000, it's like GameStop might only give you $40 for the $27,000 ship pack. But if they're selling the ship pack at $27,000, there's no way they're going to be able to. Like, I'll put it this way: if you pay $27,000 for the entire pack, right, and then they release the starter game at $40.
So the starter game gets you one ship. It gets you one ship out of all of them and none of the extras. The $27,000 pack is everything that you can get as a microtransaction or an in-game purchase.
Okay, so that better be, let's see, the Rebel Alliance, Starfleet, the Central Planets Alliance, like all of their ships with all the upgrades.
There's not that many ships.
And a dinner, yeah, but but you know what I mean? Like $40, you get one basic ship. $27,000. That is a heck of a lot of ships.
Yeah.
Like if you pay $27,000 and they bring out the game for $40, are you going to sit there and just go, "Oh no, that's fair enough. That's all good." That's
the game is already out for $40. You can buy the starter pack now for $40, or you can buy the everything pack for $27,000.
Okay.
That is one heck of a loot box, if you ask me.
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon there might be a few people who might be looking at on the going postal sort of thing.
Well, there's already a guy who's tried to sue them for not delivering, and he then went and kept purchasing ships after his lawsuit was dismissed.
Was that Donald Trump thinking he was purchasing the Space Force?
Definitely, I'm gonna buy Space Force.
This is fake news. I'm sorry, like it's a collection of 117 ships for $27,000.
Yeah. You can save up in-game currency and buy them that way. I don't know if that's possible in the alpha or what the exchange rate will be.
That's you're making
anything like a mobile game. That exchange rate is not going to be fine.
Like, can you see how many organized crime groups are going to be getting involved in this? Like, remember with
the
World of Warcraft, there were people going around and hacking to steal stuff and then selling it online to people. Like,
your grandma will get a phone call saying it's the tax office and we need you to buy us a carrier class ship.
Yeah.
Because for some reason the tax office these days only takes payment in iTunes gift cards, right? So in the future it'll be in carrier class ships.
And apparently, the sad thing is there's actually people who are being dumb enough to actually go through and do that. So yeah, I can actually see that working. I was actually looking more at the fact, like with World of Warcraft, that there was the big series of hacks that were going on where people, and as far as I know, it's still happening, where people are stolen content from other people's accounts and then they're auctioning it off online and all that for real currency. Yeah. Seriously, I'm looking at this, and if this actually does come out and go really big, I'm going to go and learn how to hack just so I can go and steal someone's 117 ships and I'll sell it at a rock bottom price. just so that they've got to try and justify, I paid my $27,000 and I've got no ships.
I mean, realistically, you could learn to hack someone's account now and get access to all of their ships anyway. No need to wait.
I could go and find some of those rich people who have got all this, and I could have 5 or 6 fleets of ships.
And if the AFP are listening, we do not endorse this activity.
I'm sorry. It's just
It's like Bucky all of a sudden has turned into Robin Hood.
And the sad thing is, okay, the article I've just looked at that's saying about the $27,000 ship pack, that was from 2 years ago. I'm
So
sure
in that
that probably.
case, they've added, since then, I know they've added a $600 mine layer.
So now that ship pack's probably like $36,000,
Jesus Christ.
and it's probably only worth $45 at GameStop if you tried to trade it in store credit that as well.
It's online store, so you can't trade it in like a Steam game.
Oh, okay.
You'd have to sell your account, I assume. But even if there was a way, you're right. GameStop, BB Games, any of them, $10 for the lot.
Yep. I always have so much of a laugh. This is the most ongoing source of comedy for me. I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous.
The saddest part about Star Citizen is the fact that they're not attacking. It's like they're attacking the person's reasoning for this game.
No, honestly, I reckon if they could actually get something happening, and really start getting it out there, and not just an alpha. I mean, actually having so it was released, it would probably be a brilliant game. But they've just got to get out there and make it happen. And it's not for lack of funds.
Yeah.
You could buy yourself an army of Russian computer programming hackers to build your game.
That would be a mistake. The kind of Russian programmers you can hire on the internet are not the people you want writing your critical code.
I mean, where's the common sense in all this? That's the problem.
I reckon just having anyone writing code, you could hire an army of pigeons to type out code faster than what these guys have.
Don't speak too loudly about common sense, DJ.
Oh, yes, I will speak about common sense.
It's not your best subject.
I'm surprised that even though the money has raised this insane amount of money, it's like you would not normally other game studios would get a game out right about now, and this game is still going and still pouring out ships. Like this ship pack, as you said earlier on, it would go up to 36,000, or even maybe to make worse, might go up to even 50,000 if we're unlucky.
Mm-hmm. The most scary thing about all of this is, I can't remember what I shared with you guys previously, a list of the most expensive games ever created. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 had a budget of $250 million. Grand Theft Auto...
That's quite an old one now.
Grand Theft Auto 5, budget of $265 million.
That's closer.
Yeah, and yet these are all games that are playable.
Yeah.
And being sold on the market as a finished product.
Okay,
so and only Grand Theft Auto 5 has a more predatory microtransaction structure than Star Citizen.
Okay, I've got the
even
list
Las
of
Vegas is sitting up and taking notes from Star Citizen on how to get money out of people.
Okay, guys, I've got the list of most expensive games to develop. Number 1 is Star Citizen at $249 for development cost. Second most expensive game to develop, Star Wars: The Old Republic, $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, always take these prices with a grain of salt because game developers don't tend to announce how much it actually cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I flipped the list to total cost with 2020 inflation. So your most expensive game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, $298 million. Grand Theft Auto 5, $291 million. So, yeesh.
Okay. Well, we'll give it another couple of years and see what happens then.
Another couple. How
Yep.
what's your projection? Like, wasn't there projected release to be sometime this year, or was it last year?
They've been pushing it back for the last couple of years because feature creep. I think the big issue is that they don't have a project manager who's sitting down with them and telling them to finish the minimum viable product. They just feature creep. So it started off being just spaceships and the like. We're going to add ground forces. Every planet is visitable and full size, and you can trade or fight or whatever. Like Elite Dangerous started off with just the space simulation bit. Was made and released within a few years. I think they could probably, if they followed the Elite Dangerous model, we'd probably see more release by now. But there's probably more differences that I haven't been following Star Citizen closely enough to see there. Anyway, let's go on to our shout-outs and remembrances. And
you forgot. You forgot.
No,
the games.
I'm coming back to that. I haven't forgotten it. I haven't forgotten the games. I'm coming back to that. But since you're so precious, you've got to do the games first. What have you been playing, DJ?
I haven't played Project Darwin. Pretty nice game, to be honest with you.
What's that about?
So it's a survival battle royale type game. You get to so you choose your protagonist. You can customize your protagonist's appearance and whatnot, and you fight in the map with a couple of other people, and it's in a snowy area, so that's a bit of a bonus. And you create stuff like bonfires, arrows, and try and take each other's opponents out.
So is it got a fairly heavy survival base to it?
Yeah.
If you have to have bonfires. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have to check that out. How long is an average match?
An average match would go for 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Is that just because you're not very good and you die quickly?
No, the map's too huge. Map's huge.
Okay. Because the big problem I have with combining Battle Royale with survival is that Battle Royale games are over too quickly to have survival play a big part.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it just becomes busy work.
Yeah. And the only ways to kill your opponent, by the way, in this game is via axes or bow and arrow. You can't use any other weapons.
Oh, I like that. So does it have like a caveman theme or something?
Not really. No caveman theme. No.
Okay. What's the the time period of the setting?
Future.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The classic 2013 vision of the future, where every sci-fi game had a crossbow.
Yep. The other interesting part is when you start the game, you either choose. There are 3 classes you choose, and they come up with there are 3 tools you have. You have either the robotic arm, the jetpack, or the hunter drone, and each of them all have various advantages.
Okay. Well, it looks like Buck's just stepped away from his computer for a moment.
Yeah.
So I have been playing Heat Signature.
Oh, nice.
This is a Tom Francis game, and it's basically Hotline Miami in space.
So a lot of gore.
No, not really. Heat Signature tones down the gore a lot, but each character has a personal mission. So you start off your mission. You need to raise money to buy info to track down your mission. So you'll get info like a mission like steal an item or assassinate someone, and you'll go and explore the spaceship, take them out. There's a lot of items that add a bunch of variety to the different ways you can take people out or get in and out unseen. But eventually you raise enough money to take on your personal mission, and that's where you once you complete that, you can retire a character. And but the world is persistent, so there's a sort of subplot where each character is working for a resistance, and over time you capture more and more stations in the galaxy.
I have to say, I'm glad they've toned down the gore on this. So I'm looking at one of the screenshots, and there's quite a lot of blood.
Yeah, so Hotline Miami was very brutal compared to this. This has blood splatters, but nothing like Hotline Miami had.
Okay. I'm liking the fact that they were showing you could blow out the windows or something in one of the screenshots as well.
Yeah. You can blow out the windows and suck everyone into space. You can hijack a turret and set it to attack the crew.
Mm-hmm. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
What's the shortcomings for this?
The ship layout gets a bit predictable, and it's mostly just corridors and rooms.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that when you enter the ship, you can take out the engines or assassinate the pilot to knock it off course. Or if you want to, you can capture a ship and fly it over and use a missile launcher against the enemy ship.
Okay.
So if you've got an assassinate mission, you don't even have to break into the heavily defended ship. You just got to steal someone else's ship and go and blow them up.
Cool.
So there are numerous ways of going to the mission.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how many nerdy beanies?
4.8
out of 5?
Yeah. I think with what would make the game perfect would be a sort of a dungeon update to give you more variety to the layout of the ships. They're all procedurally generated as far as I can tell.
Okay.
I think it would be interesting to have more different types of rooms and things you can do on board the ship.
Fair enough.
So we forgot, DJ, how many beanies do you give Project Darwin?
I would give it 4 out of 5. It's just there are some shortcomings. It's a small game, like started from a small company. But the shortcomings I have for this game is basically the same old maps. Like there's no changeability in the zones. Like it's just one. It's not like in Apex Legends, for example. You've got the swamp zone. You've got the high rise zone. You've got the lava zone. There's no variety.
So no variety in the map.
Yeah, there's no variety in the map. There's not enough loot in the map as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and the controls. If you have to use a controller for this game as well. Like this is not good for like a keyboard setting.
Why not?
It's too
Like
complicated for him.
It's more of when you're countering an enemy and you have to try and run at the enemy. And the other beautiful part is you can also if let's say your enemy is swinging their axe and you're swinging the axe at the same time, no damage. You can hear the clink sound, which is pretty cool. But in all honesty, though, it's just you have to try and time your attacks, which is pretty hard when you're on a 10-second situation. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Yep.
So what have you been playing, Buck?
I ventured into a game called Dragon Awaken, which is one I've seen advertised in different areas, and yeah, figured it'd be a nice, fun little no thought sort of game. Like there is a whole big storyline behind it. I haven't really paid attention to it. Just something I can sit there and play quietly in the background while doing other things and just enjoy the artwork and leveling up my characters. So yeah, it's been a fair bit of fun.
So what's the actual gameplay?
It's a flat platform. You have your characters, you do battle roving around the map and going to different areas and achieving different missions and so forth, and you just have your team. I don't think I would describe it as a MOBA. It's the basic storyline was, from memory, is there's an issue where you're fighting against dragons, and you've got a dragon on your side, and you're fighting against the evil dragon to save the world and everything like that. And you build up a team of different heroes that you go out and attack and beat up all the bad guys with. So, but it's kind of like there was that Army of Angels or something similar to that sort of stuff. Lots of pretty flashing colors. You got a whole class of pandas where there's different panda monks, where they're drunk panda, battle panda, all that sort of stuff.
A battle panda, you say?
Yes, and you get to upgrade his armor.
Cool.
So it's a turn-based combat system. Nice.
Yeah.
So it's like the old school Final Fantasy with the graphics.
With ridiculously huge weapons.
That's just Final Fantasy.
In reality, there's no way anyone would ever pick up one of these swords.
Yeah, that's just Final Fantasy.
Yeah. I think some ways this is Final Fantasy on steroids.
What's the biggest flaw you've seen in this game?
Just trying to read all the storyline aspects and everything. But yeah, also gets a bit monotonous at certain stages because most of your missions just seem to be the same. So yeah, just there's a fair bit of grind to level up unless you want to go spending money on the microtransactions to speed up the process.
Okay.
So yes, like honestly, if I could get a $27,000 ship pack in it, it would probably really work well. It'd make the game zing, but because it doesn't, that isn't an option. I can only give it 3 out of 5.
Okay.
I should just kick you from this channel.
Why? It's a valid comment. Hey, you reckon we can make a GIF out of that?
He said it, not me.
At least he said it properly.
You mean a GIF?
Well, we can make a GIF as well.
Now he's gone from the channel. Next person to say it wrong gets perma-banned.
Whoa.
Moving on, we have a very sad remembrance this week. Buck, stop laughing, it's an inappropriate moment. We have Christopher Tolkien, the son of J.R.R. Tolkien. He's unfortunately passed away on the 15th of January 2020. The Christopher Tolkien's known for editing and publishing his father's notes and basically filling out all of the details of Middle-earth that weren't in the Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah, he passed away at the age of 95 in Draguignan Havar, which is in France.
Thank you for that. I was just trying to find that, but I lost the show notes. No, I don't have to screw up saying it. That does sound like somewhere that would be in a Lord of the Rings book, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was one of the few people that was briefly opposed to the film adaptation, though.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't just briefly. He never liked the movies. He thought they were too action. But even though they're the best fantasy movies ever made, and we wouldn't have stuff like Game of Thrones without the Peter Jackson movies. It took the Peter Jackson movies for people to take fantasy as seriously as they do these days, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's about time we had a big budget fantasy movie. There's been big budget dance movies and so forth.
Yeah, anyway, our next one is on the 7th of January this year. Neil Peart, the Canadian musician and writer, best known as the drummer for the band Rush, passed away at the age of 67 from glioblastoma. And on the 13th of January 1941, James Augustine Aloysius Joyce, aka James Joyce, the Irish novelist, passed away at 58 in Zurich from a perforated duodenal ulcer. So James Joyce is best known for Ulysses, which is a completely wild book.
It is.
Yes, he had a habit of writing in ways that are pretty hard to interpret, even back then. We also have, on the 13th of January 1691, George Fox, founder of the Religious Society of Friends, these days known as the Quakers. He travelled throughout Britain and eventually made tours of North America and the Low Countries. He was arrested and jailed numerous times for his beliefs. He was viewed with respect by Quaker convert William Penn and Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell. He died of heart failure at 66 in London. The Quakers are these days better known for being a brand of porridge oats.
That's not how you make porridge.
No, seriously, there's a brand of oats called Quaker Oats, and it's the only thing I had for breakfast for about 5 months while I was in America, because their cereal was so sugary. For the shout-outs, we have on the 13th of January 1928, RCA and GE installed 3 test television sets in homes in Schenectady, New York, allowing inventor E.F.W. Alexanderson to demonstrate the first television receiver, which delivered a poor and unsteady 1.5 square inch picture.
Sounds
That's
really
crazy small. Yeah. It reminds me of the computers in the movie Brazil, where they have these tiny little displays. So everyone just has every computer has as standard a great big magnifying glass mounted to it.
Yep. That would be about the size of the Dick Tracy watch in the Dick Tracy comics.
Oh, yeah. Although presumably Dick Tracy would use a slightly safer technology than cathode ray tubes.
Well, they never actually said what he had in the watch, but he carried voice and picture. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if your watch wasn't completely water resistant, the cathode ray tube might have something to say with that being several hundred volts.
That's what might get the person's attention.
You're not going to believe this, guys. There's actually a Dick Tracy watch on the Indiegogo.
Okay, then. Yeah, that's much simpler than a CRT. It's flat and it doesn't have a proper screen in it. It's just a watch with a speaker grill. But I think that looks a lot better than an Apple Watch. And if Pebble made it, then I'd be into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually pretty cool. It's an official product partnered with the Tribune Content Agency.
Yeah. See, everyone always talks all the communicators and stuff, it was all Star Trek, but Star Trek got a lot of its ideas from the comics and so forth, such as Dick Tracy and a lot of the other stuff. Even E. Doc Smith, with the Lensman series, he had stuff that was similar to this and affected a lot of the later science fiction. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually quite stylish.
It is. I'm actually wanting one now.
Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, they seem to be doing a limited run of only 1,000. Anyway, the next shout out is to Diego, the 100-year-old Espanola giant tortoise, who on the 13th of January, on the 12th of January is the date on the article, announced his retirement and release from captivity after fathering upward of 800 offspring. So Diego was an endangered species of Galapagos tortoise, and they brought him into a zoo and bred him for 800 offspring to save the species.
You can understand why he was moving very slowly there, can't you?
He has one heck of a drive, I will give you that.
Well, he's 100 years old. He's the cool grandpa. He's 100 years old and he probably still plays with the grandkids. So on the 13th of January 2020, an article came out announcing that Infinity Ward, Activision, and Bungie are donating 100% of the profits from their Outback cosmetic bundles to the bushfire effort.
Mm-hmm.
And on the same day, Lucy the pink helicopter was dragged out of a dam on the New South Wales south coast after Armadale pilot Lockie Onslow managed to drop it into the dam. The story is that it lost power while refilling its water bombing bucket. There were no injuries, but it was retrieved in a joint salvage operation by the Navy, the Army, and Hazmat. And on to famous birthdays. On the 8th of January 1947, David Robert Jones, known professionally as David Bowie, the English singer-songwriter and actor. He was born on the 8th of January 1947, and he died on the 10th of January 2016, just 2 days after the release of his last album. Now, if you're a Bowie fan, keep an eye out because they're week by week they're releasing alternative versions of his old songs and a album on Record Store Day of his 50th birthday performance.
Yeah.
On the 13th of January 1960, Eric Betzig, the American physicist, he is a professor of physics and a professor of molecular and cell biology at University of California, Berkeley. He's also a senior fellow at the Genelia Farm Research Campus in Ashburn, Virginia. He worked to develop the field of fluorescence microscopy and photoactivated localization microscopy. Now, that's not technobabble. Do you know what that means, Buck?
It's using different elements to activate and review how they the different aspects of cells and elements, because everything looks different under different lights, and there's different things that will show up at different times and under different conditions. So yeah, when you look at something under one form of light, it shows up in one particular way. When you look at it in another light, it will show up differently. They found I can't remember I think this is what it is anyway. But I remember with one element that they're looking at, one of the jellyfish, when you looked at it under normal light, it was all clear and everything like that. But when you looked at it under infrared light, there were aspects to it that they had never noticed before.
Yeah, humans actually have stripes in infrared as well.
Yeah, and also UV light shows up different. So I believe that that's the sort of thing that this is looking at. I've never actually gone and played with it, but it's looking at the coloration and variation. So instead of having little splotches by putting it under different lights, it shows up as smaller cell dots. So you got a clearer picture of exactly what's happening.
Yeah, so he used the technique to study the division of cells in human embryos and won the 2014 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the development of super-resolved fluorescence microscopy, along with Stephen Hall and William E. Mona. On the 13th of January 1990, Liam Hemsworth, the Australian actor, who played Josh Taylor in Neighbours, Marcus in The Elephant Princess, William Blakely in The Last Song, Gail Hawthorne in Hunger Games, and Jake Morrison in Independence Day Resurgence. Not to be confused with his older brothers, Luke and Chris, who are also actors. Must run in the family. He was born in Melbourne, Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And events of interest. On the 13th of January 1879, in the Mozart Gardens in Brooklyn, Ada Anderson completed 2,700 quarter miles in 2,700 quarter hours, earning $8,000. The event was so popular that the spectator fee was raised from 25 cents to 50 cents after 5/6 of the event had been completed. By the final day, the event ticket price was $1 for standing and $2 for reserved seating. She completed the event on the 13th of January to a venue so packed that police had to prevent additional spectators. Many of the spectators were women who regarded Anderson as the most wonderful of their sex. That's a pretty significant feat. I was trying to work out whether it means like she just made the pace the whole time or if she just had to go a quarter mile in 15 minutes and then wait a while. I guess based on the description, it's more of a marathon.
Yeah. From here, it's saying 2,700 quarter miles is 1,086 kilometers total. Well, I'm not sure about the whole 2,700 quarter hours, though, so...
It's 675 hours, which is 28.1 days.
Wow.
Yes.
And how many miles did you say the quarter miles changed to, DJ?
To quarter miles to in kilometers, in the unit kilometers, 1,086 kilometers.
Well, it's 67.5 miles, I think.
Yeah, it would be 675 miles.
Yeah.
The same as the hours.
Yeah.
And walking a mile an hour isn't a huge pace, but keeping that up for a month is.
Yes.
Man, I would hate to feel the effects of walking that distance.
Well,
especially when you consider the way that they would have been dressed. They didn't have lightweight sports clothing. She would have been wearing a heavy skirt and shirt and.
Well, there's a drawing of her using chalk to draw on the faces of sleeping spectators, and she's wearing a long, a knee-length, looks quite thick. It's a knee-length sort of dress. The Wikipedia has a section with about her health, sleep, and nutrition. Apparently, after the second day, she started stumbling in a semi-conscious state, and in the sleepy periods, her assistant had to prepare her to walk at the warning bell, and on occasion had to send her back to the track when she hadn't completed enough laps. She said the biggest problem was with blisters, and the pain stopped her sleeping. And after 100 miles, the physician noted that she had a temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, a pulse 78 to 80, and her only complaints being blistered feet and anxiety interfering with sleep. Her coach, who walked with her much of the event, was not in such good health, with blisters covering his feet, exhaustion, and dizziness. He had to retire, being replaced by one of the judges.
The diet was even more crazier too.
Yeah, she ate at almost every rest time, unless she was sleeping. Her diet included beef, oysters, corned beef, potatoes, cakes, and grapes. She drank beef tea, port wine, and occasionally champagne.
The diet of champions.
Hey, don't knock it.
If only we could give her Sestrin, that would work.
I don't think she needs a Sestrin boost. I think she's got enough of it.
Yeah, I think she has Sestrin on tap.
Oh, the final quarter mile was completed the fastest of all 2,700. What is this woman? Is she like a Terminator?
I think it was more like she got to the end of the race and was like, I need to go to the bathroom.
Can you imagine the Olympic? Imagine having this in the Olympics rather than the usual Olympic walking that we have right now.
There's entertainment as well. In between trips, she would stop and play the piano and sing.
Now, see, this is what's missing from the Olympics. Instead of having the pentathlon where they're doing 10 different sports, make it so it's like have another one where it's they have the walking race. But similar to the biathlon, where instead of shooting, you have to paint a picture or do a dance or sing a song.
I like the sound of that.
Let's have it as an extreme sport. So you walk for a mile and then you go through an obstacle course. You get to the end, you paint a picture and then sing a song while playing the piano. And
ski
then
jump waiting, you have to carry a cloche down the ski jump.
While drinking beef tea or champagne or whatever, or even Earl Grey hot. Yeah, let's bring an acrobatics aspect into it as well, and gymnastics. When they go off the ski jump, there's tricks for style and all that sort of stuff. But you got to land on the rings they use for the gymnastics, and then you got to do a somersault as you pirouette off of that.
You know what they should do? They should just merge the X Games with the Olympics. Just make it and just go balls out. Like have skateboarding as an Olympic event. Even have extreme rollerblading or cliff diving as an Olympic sport.
How would you make cliff diving more insane, though?
Well, we won't make it cliff diving. We'll make it extreme diving. You dive off the side of a building, and you got to dive into a pool at the bottom, like the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Oh,
and you get points for doing all the tricks and all that on the way down, and then you get bonus points for the smaller target pool to get into, and the higher up you go.
Oh,
so if you go off, say like a 37-story building, and you want to get maximum points, you go into something that's like one of those clamshell kiddie pools for diameter.
The Olympics now with only 75% fatalities.
Even better for points, it has to come up from an exploding building behind, like those action movies.
Okay, well, if you can do that, we'll poll for that to happen for the Olympics. Can you show us that happening?
Yes, we will fundraise for you to jump off a building that's being demolished, DJ. I will be your campaign manager. We will do this.
I reckon we could even get Star Citizen to put some money towards that one.
Oh, no.
If they can make a GIF out of me jumping off a building, I will do it.
They can do that. They made I'm not going to say it. They made a GIF out of Felix Baumgartner jumping off from the edge of space. Moving on to another great achievement. On the 13th of January 1908, Henry Farman became the first person to fly an observed circuit of more than 1 kilometer, winning the Grand Prix d'Aviation. He won 50,000 francs. Flying a kilometer in 1908 can't have been too easy. And it's insane that just a few years later, aircraft were being used in war.
Yeah.
On the 13th of January 1976, American inventor Ray Kurzweil and the National Federation of the Blind unveiled the Kurzweil reading machine, the first omnifont optical character recognition system. I was completely surprised by that. I thought OCR was a much newer technology.
Okay. So we've educated the professor.
Yep.
We can take part in that, folks.
Well, that's all we have for tonight. So, DJ, where can they find us?
They can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Email through at nerds.amalgamated@gmail.com. Facebook, Spotify, Stitcher, and that'snotcanon.com.
All right, you guys have anything to add?
A shout out for an upcoming show on That's Not Canon is, I can't remember the name of it, but it's going to be about reading poetry.
Yes, the Podfather has announced that he is going to present a poetry podcast. So keep an eye out for that, because it's going to include some of his own poetry, I believe, and he's doing it to practice his voiceover.
And it's going to be numerous people. They're going to be reading poetry, and there's going to be quite an interesting selection. Like I know that there's some, there's Edgar Allan Poe for one. So something definitely worth looking out for.
And one of the members of TNC, Nick, wants to read 2 shitty poems he made when he was 19. He says they're cringy as hell. So this could be fun.
Yes. I have looked at the list of some of the poems that are being proffered as what people are wanting to read, and it's going to be interesting to listen to.
Well, you've said you're happy to help, so what do you want to read?
I've offered to read Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven.
Nevermore. The only line of The Raven anybody actually knows.
Oh, there was more, like twice the tapping that I hear.
Yeah, anyway, check that out when it's released. But that's all we have for this week, so we'll see you next week.
Hey, right.
And take care of each other and keep yourself hydrated.
That's Buck's line. What's going on?